But let's get to our first true topic here. Like, oh yeah, we took notes now. Take my glasses off so I can see you all. A head coach versus a play caller. I think that coaching is very important in football, probably more so than any other sport. As you see in basketball, a great player can cover up the warts of so many holes in a team, right? In baseball, I mean, the manager is a pawn. A lot of the best teams in the league, they hardly pay their managers, and their front office does lineups, they do pitching changes, they do all of that stuff. So, how much coaching really comes into effect? But in football, coaching counts. And there's this trend that's happening in the NFL right now that we're falling in love with these offensive play callers. If you just touch the hem of Sean McVay's garment, you find yourself in a head coaching job. And maybe that's the right route to go because guess who's in the Super Bowl? Sean McVay and one of his disciples, Zach Taylor, who had the number one seed in the NFC. LaFleur, a Sean McVay disciple, who played against Sean McVay in the uh, national, the NFC Championship. Kyle Shanahan, somebody who Sean McVay learned from, who came from that Mike Shanahan tree. So maybe that is the right way to play football, but we're falling in love with these offensive play callers and we want to make them head coaches, but you got to understand the law of diminishing returns. And in the law of diminishing returns, it pretty much says that the more that you do, the less effective that you can be in other places, right? So if you are that offensive play caller and you're spending all of your time in game calling plays, well, how are you managing the game? Because while the defense is on the field, when you should be, managing the defense, being aware of what they're doing, you're debriefing with the offense. You are getting ready for your next drive. And it goes back and it goes into preparation. If you're spending your time in the offensive meeting room and you're not in a defensive meeting room, you're not in the special teams meeting room, are you really being the best coach that you can be? Because if you are the play caller, that means you're running that offensive meeting. It's no way in hell that you can let your OC run that meeting and be confident that that OC is running the meeting in the way that you would like for it to be ran. Because at the end of the day, yeah, they may help you come up with the scheme, but you're calling the plays. So I'd assume that the play caller would be the one running the meeting. But what do I know? I'm just a big baby. And how can you ensure that the game plans are aligned, right? Because I was listening to Michael Lombardi today, and he was talking about the importance of complementary football. And he was talking about the one thing that Belichick does that a lot of coaches don't do, that a lot of coaches don't like, is he makes the coaches watch film together. So offense, defense, special teams, we're all in here together. So while we're developing this game plan, we're all on the same page. It seems like common sense to me, but when we outsource things, right, and we become so specialized, we go, okay, the offense is going to run itself. Got it. Okay, the defense runs itself. Okay, the special teams runs itself. That sounds good until you're in a game and all three phases of the game matter. Does the offensive phase of the game matter more? Absolutely. So should you have some of your best coaches coaching offense? I mean, I think so. I'd hope so. But again, that's not always the opportunity that you have based on what's available. But if you're in the play sheet, how can you manage the game? The coordinators are supposed to coordinate, and the head coach is supposed to coach. And the head coach, and by coach, I mean he should be managing all three facets of the game. So let your OC call his plays. If you're not confident in your OC calling plays, then maybe you shouldn't be a head coach and you should go back to being an OC. Or if you're a defensive coach and you're not comfortable with your DC calling plays, maybe you shouldn't be a head coach, you should be a DC. Because as the head coach, you should have your pulse on everything that's happening throughout that game so you can make those decisions from up top. Where yes, the OC may be knee deep in the offense and he wants to call this play. And it's like, hey, look, I understand that you want to take the top off right now, but let's run the ball. Let's run the ball. But coach, we got like I know what you're saying, but our defense is playing really well right now. And let's bleed some clock. Or maybe our defense is playing poorly right now. So yes, this quick score would be great for us, but they just came off the field, man. It was a long drive. They're tired. Let's get them some rest. Or in certain times you'll see the defense, and it happened in the Buccaneers game, the Buccaneers Rams game, where DC Todd Bowles decided to do a zero blitz, and Bruce was like at the end of the game, Bruce Arians, the head coach, goes, we had a misstep, their defense, whatever. Hey, Bruce, that's on you because you're the head coach. But if you were the actual head coach and not the offensive play caller, offensive coordinator, overseer, you would hop on the headset and say, hey, no, let's not do that. Let's have safety help over the top. Let's not give them something easy so they can kick a field goal and walk us off. Because I think we get so caught up into picking these coaches who are specialists. But you got to understand that football is a three aspect sport, right? There's three aspects of football. There's offense, there's defense, and there's special team. So as a head coach, you have to be able to properly manage all three phases. And I think that's what makes Bill Belichick such a great coach. Because yes, he's a defensive coach. Yes, he's the quote unquote defensive play caller, but he manages the game. They play complementary football. They play to their strengths and they play to other teams' weaknesses. And I think that's so important about coaching. Yes, we love the flash and we love the sizzle. But at the end of the day, there are certain things that win in football. And making the correct decisions at the correct time is so important. And as football is evolving, it's starting to look more like baseball. We're starting to have these front officers who want to dictate how the game is played, how the plays are called, and what the coach is doing throughout the game.